Let me shock you with a number before you've even taken a breath. Over 100 million views per video, not in a year, not in a series, per video. If your mind just blinked, it's because reality hurts. And that, my friends, is the space where extraordinary lives begin. You know what most people do when they get the mic? They shrink. They hide behind polite words, behind statistics they barely understand, behind the comfort of I think, and maybe, I don't, I refuse. Because the moment you open your mouth, the audience is asking one question. Why should I listen to you? They're scanning you for weakness. They're testing your confidence, weighing your credibility, looking for even the smallest crack where doubt can crawl in. And if you give them one, you've already lost. That's why I stand here with absolute conviction. I'm not here to please you, I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm not apologizing for what I've done, what I've built, or what I believe. I'm here to own it. Fully, completely, without hesitation. Because when you speak from a place of absolute ownership, the room shifts, people feel it, they lean in. Authority is not given, it's taken. It's not about the title before your name, the degrees on your wall, or the accolades gathering dust in your cabinet. It's about presence. It's about the way you look someone dead in the eye when you say something that matters. It's about speaking in a way that says, I have been there, I have done the work, and I will not let you walk away without the truth. You can't fake that. You can fake charm, you can fake enthusiasm, but you cannot fake the weight of lived experience. It's in your voice, it's in your stance, it's in the way you don't flinch when someone challenges you. I've been challenged more times than I can count, and I welcome it, not because I enjoy conflict, but because conflict reveals character. When you know who you are and what you've done, there is no question you cannot face. But here's where most of you lose it. You're too busy trying to be liked. You're trimming your words, softening your stance, editing your truth so it lands without ripples. You want to inspire, but you also want to stay comfortable. You want to lead, but you also want to be approved of. You can't have both. Authority is not born from comfort. It is forged in the fire of risk. Every time I speak, I take a risk. The risk that someone will misinterpret my words. The risk that someone will get offended. The risk that I might be wrong, but I take it anyway. Because I know the danger of staying silent is far greater. People follow certainty. In a world drowning in doubt, the voice that rings clear will always cut through the noise. But certainty doesn't mean arrogance. It means alignment. It means your words and your actions are welded together so tightly there's no gap for hypocrisy to slip through. It means you've paid your dues, you've earned your scars, and you're willing to put them on display. I've failed in public. I have been humiliated. I have lost money, lost opportunities, lost people I thought would never leave. And yet I stand here, stronger, sharper, louder. That's authority. Surviving what would have broken most, and walking back into the room as if it never dented you. You can't inspire by telling polished, flawless stories. You inspire when people see you bleed and get back up. When they hear you admit the losses, the stupid mistakes, the moments you wanted to quit, but you didn't. That's authenticity. That's the part the audience remembers long after your slides, your jokes, and your metaphors fade. There's a reason I don't sugarcoat what I say. The world is not sugarcoated. Life is not kind because you're kind. Business doesn't bend for your feelings. Algorithms don't care about your self-esteem. So when I speak, I give you reality as it is, because it's the only thing worth preparing for. And here's the irony. The more unapologetic you are about your truth, the more people respect you, even the ones who disagree. Why? Because deep down, everyone is tired of half-truths. They want someone who stands for something, even if it's not popular. They want someone who says, this is who I am, this is what I've done, take it or leave it. That's why when I say I've achieved something, I say it without shrinking. I don't lower my voice. I don't add, I was lucky. Luck is an insult to the work I've done. I own my wins, and I own my failures just as openly, because both are part of the same story. You want to command attention, start by commanding yourself. Walk into the room with your shoulders squared, your head high, your eyes locked on the people you're here to reach. Speak like you mean it, because if you don't, they'll hear it. Every word you dilute, every truth you sidestep, every time you hesitate, they feel it. So no, I won't make myself smaller so you feel comfortable. I won't dilute my truth so it's easier to swallow. I'm not here to be soft, I'm here to be clear. And in a world full of noise, clarity is power. The day you stop apologizing for your authority is the day you start owning it. And when you own it completely, that's the day the room starts listening. People think stories are soft. They think they're just warm-up material, something to loosen the room before the real content starts. They're wrong. A story is not decoration. It's a weapon. It's the sharp edge you use to cut through cynicism. It's the Trojan horse that carries your message past every wall of doubt and straight into the heart. When I speak, I don't dump information. Information is cheap. You can Google facts. You can scroll through charts. But a story lives, a story moves, a story makes you feel something you can't shake. And once I have you feeling, I have you thinking. And once I have you thinking, I have you acting. Momentum doesn't come from dumping 10 points on a slide. Momentum is the build, the pull, the rise, the moment where you lean in without realizing it. I craft my message the way a composer builds a symphony. The first note matters. The silence between notes matters. Every turn in the plot is a decision, and I decide with precision, because I'm not here to wander, I'm here to take you somewhere. You don't start a story in the middle. You don't give away the punchline before you've built the tension. The beginning is where you earn their attention. It's the spark, the hook, the single line that stops every wandering mind in the room. If I don't have you in the first 30 seconds, I've lost you. That's why my stories never crawl. They launch. They drop you into a scene so vivid you can smell the air, hear the hum, feel the heat. Then comes the turn, the point where you think you know where I'm going. And you're wrong. That's when momentum starts to rise. I take you higher, higher, until the tension in your chest is almost unbearable. And then I deliver the release. That's the moment the truth lands. The moment you say, I'll never forget that. See, momentum is not speed. Speed without intention is chaos. Momentum is controlled acceleration. It's the art of taking your audience from a still start to a point where they can't stop moving forward. I feed them curiosity in small doses. I give them moments of surprise. I make them laugh when they least expect it. And then, in that moment of openness, I hit them with something that makes them silent. You can't build momentum if you're afraid of pauses. The silence between the beats is where the audience catches their breath and leans in closer. Too many speakers rush to fill every second with noise. They don't understand that momentum needs space. You don't sprint every step. You build, you break, you build again. That's how you keep them locked in from start to finish. But here's the real secret. The story isn't about me. It's about them. My job is to take something I've lived and translate it into something they can feel as if it's their own. I give them the details that matter, the ones that pull them inside the moment, but I leave enough room for them to see themselves in it. That's why they stay, not because my story is interesting, but because in some way it's theirs too. When I tell you about failure, I'm not listing mistakes. I'm taking you to the day it happened, the phone call, the look on someone's face, the pit in my stomach. When I tell you about a win, I don't just give you the number. I give you the sweat, the sleepless nights, the moment the deal almost collapsed. You feel the risk before you feel the reward, and momentum doesn't die when the story ends. It's carried by the way I connect it to the lesson. Too many people leave their story hanging like an unfinished sentence. No, you must close the loop. You must take the high you've built and channel it into action. A great story makes you care, but a great close makes you move. The power of story-driven momentum is that it doesn't force anyone to listen. It makes them want to. They're not checking their phone. They're not planning their lunch. They're locked on you. Because in that moment, you're not just talking. You're leading them somewhere they want to go. That's why I craft every word, every pause, every turn in the journey. Because momentum is fragile. You lose it once, you may never get it back. And when I have it, I guard it fiercely, driving it all the way to the point where the only possible outcome is impact. And when I'm done, the room doesn't just clap. They sit for a moment, still caught in the echo of where I just took them. That's how you know momentum has done its job. It hasn't just entertained them. It has changed them. Most people speak like they're afraid you might actually hear them. They wrap their words in cotton, pad every sentence with disclaimers, and then wonder why no one remembers what they said. Me, I believe in cutting through. I believe in saying things so sharp they leave a mark, not because I want to hurt you, but because I want you to remember. Clarity is not about using simple words. It's about using the right words, the kind of words that land like a hammer, not a feather. And yet, every day I watch people drown their message in jargon, complexity, and over-explanation. They think more words mean more value. No, more words often mean more confusion. Clarity means stripping away everything that's not essential until the truth is standing there naked, undeniable, impossible to ignore. You don't win attention by being the loudest voice in the room. You win it by being the one voice that makes sense. When I speak, my goal is not to impress you with my vocabulary. My goal is to make sure you leave knowing exactly what I mean and exactly what you need to do about it. If you can't remember my point tomorrow morning, then I've failed, no matter how good I sounded tonight. Bite is what keeps that clarity from being boring. Because let's be honest, clarity without edge is just a weather report. You need force. You need friction. You need the kind of language that wakes people up and makes them feel a little uncomfortable. Because discomfort is where growth begins. I don't soften my sentences so you feel better about yourself. I sharpen them so you start questioning yourself. That's where transformation begins. And here's the part people don't want to admit. You can't have real bite if you're scared to lose the room. The moment you start thinking, what if they don't like this? You've already pulled your punch. You've already diluted your message. The truth is, some people won't like it. Some people will resist. Some will push back. Good. That means you hit a nerve, and you can't change anything worth changing without hitting nerves. Strategic clarity means knowing exactly what battle you're fighting in that moment. I never go on stage without knowing the single most important thing I need you to remember. Everything else is built around it. If I'm telling you about discipline, I'm not wandering into 20 side points. I'm giving you one unshakable idea. Discipline will beat talent every time. Then I hammer it home from every angle until you can't forget it if you try. Bite means I don't just give you the what. I give you the why and the why not in the same breath. I tell you what happens if you do this, and I paint a vivid picture of what happens if you don't. People are motivated by both hope and fear. Hope pulls them forward, fear pushes them from behind. I use both. The problem with most speakers is they dance around the truth because they're afraid of the silence that follows a hard truth. I'm not, I want that silence. That silence means the point just landed. That silence means they're thinking. I'd rather have a moment of stillness so deep you could hear a pin drop than a polite applause for a sentence no one will remember. Clarity with bite also means you remove the safety nets. No but at the end of your sentence to soften the blow. No nervous laugh to lighten the mood. No backpedaling to protect fragile egos. Say it. Mean it, stand in it. If you don't believe your own message enough to defend it, why should anyone else? And don't mistake this for arrogance. Arrogance is speaking without listening. Strategic clarity with bite requires listening so deeply that you know exactly which truth this audience needs, even if they don't want it. It means understanding the fears, the doubts, the lies they've been told, and then dismantling them with precision. I'll tell you what else it requires: discipline in preparation. People think bite comes from raw confidence alone. It doesn't. It comes from knowing your message so well that you can say it in 10 minutes or 10 seconds, and it still lands with the same force. It comes from rehearsing, refining, cutting the fat until all that's left is muscle. The best speakers in the world aren't the ones who say the most. They're the ones who say the least, but say it best. That's why when I speak, I don't aim to sound smart. I aim to sound undeniable. I don't aim for applause. I aim for action. I don't aim to make you think I'm good at this. I aim to make you believe you have no choice but to do something different after hearing me. Because here's the truth. Clarity without bite is forgettable, and bite without clarity is just noise. But when you put them together, that's when you get words that cut through the clutter, pierce the doubt, and stay lodged in someone's mind long after you've left the stage. And if you can do that, if you can marry precision with power, you'll never need to shout to be heard, because your words will already be echoing inside the people who matter most. The greatest enemy of progress is not failure, it's comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers to you that what you have is enough, that what you've done is good enough, that the safest thing you can do is keep doing what you've always done. And the moment you believe that, you've stopped growing. You've stopped pushing. You've started dying slowly, while convincing yourself you're living. Challenging the status quo isn't about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. It's about seeing clearly that the way things are is not the way they have to be. It's about refusing to inherit the limits handed to you by the people who settled before you. It's about asking the question everyone else is afraid to ask: why are we still doing it this way? The world is full of rules that no one remembers agreeing to. Traditions that have outlived their usefulness. Systems designed for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Yet we cling to them because they are familiar. We defend them because they make us feel safe. But safety is a prison if it comes at the cost of your potential. When I look at the path most people take, I see them following the same tired map to the same tired destination. They wake up, they work, they repeat. They measure success by the same yardstick everyone else is using, and then they wonder why their lives feel predictable and small. The answer is simple: they never questioned the map. They never asked if there might be another route. You want to break through, then break something. Break the assumptions. Break the excuses. Break the illusion that you have to play by rules written by people who were no smarter than you, no braver than you. They were just first. The truth is, when you challenge the status quo, people will resist you. They'll tell you you're arrogant, unrealistic, reckless. They'll project their fear onto you because if you succeed, you'll prove that their excuses were just that, excuses. People would rather defend their limitations than confront the possibility that they could have done more. And yet, history is written by those who refused to accept that's just how it's done. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every movement, every leap forward started with someone willing to stand in the storm of criticism and say, no, this is not enough. The moment you decide to challenge the status quo, you have to be prepared for isolation. You have to get comfortable being misunderstood. You have to walk into rooms where every head turns because you don't look like you belong. And you have to stay there until they realize you do. That's the price of changing the game. And here's the thing: you can't challenge the status quo halfway. You can't talk about bold ideas and then back down when it's time to act. The moment you flinch, the moment you compromise your conviction to make people comfortable, you've lost the fight. Change doesn't come from the middle. It comes from the edge. It comes from people who are willing to risk being wrong in order to be right. Challenging the status quo isn't just about the big moments either. It's in the daily choices. It's in the decision to speak up in the meeting when everyone else is nodding along. It's in the refusal to copy what's already out there and instead create something original, even if it fails. It's in the discipline to keep going when the results don't come as quickly as you hoped, because you know you're building something worth waiting for. And it's not enough to challenge for yourself. You have to challenge for others. You have to be the person who opens a door wider than you found it. You have to take the risks others can't yet imagine taking, so they can see it's possible. You have to be the proof. The status quo is comfortable because it's crowded. It's the place where everyone gathers to feel normal. But progress has never lived in the crowd. Progress lives in the lonely place. The place where you walk out on the thin ice of possibility and test it for yourself. And yes, sometimes it cracks, sometimes you fall through, but sometimes it holds. And when it holds, you've just expanded the territory for everyone who comes after you. So here's the question: are you living in the safety of enough? Or are you stepping into the risk of more? Because the difference between those two is the difference between living a life that looks impressive and living a life that is impactful. The status quo doesn't fall by accident. It's dismantled on purpose by people who refuse to settle. And every time you choose to challenge it, you're not just rewriting your own story. You're changing the rules for everyone who will play after you. Presence is not an accident. Charisma is not some magic dust that a few lucky people are born with. It's built, it's crafted. It's the result of intentional choices. How you walk into the room, how you stand, how you speak, how you make people feel in the first 3 seconds before you've even said a word. When you step onto a stage, you are not there to be liked. You are there to be felt. Your presence has to hit before your words do. That means owning the space as if you were born to be there, even if your hands are shaking inside your pockets. It means commanding the audience's attention without begging for it, because people don't follow the most logical person in the room. They follow the one who makes them feel something, and feelings are not random. They're engineered. You decide where you want to take the audience emotionally, and then you drive them there with everything you've got. Your tone, your rhythm, your pauses, your eyes. Every tool in your arsenal is pointed toward that one goal, connection. I don't just say words, I live inside them. When I tell a story of loss, you see it in my shoulders, hear it in the weight of my voice. When I talk about triumph, you hear the lift, the rise, the forward push. My energy is not static. It moves. It climbs when I want you to feel urgency. It drops when I want you to reflect. I can take a room from laughter to silence in a single sentence, not because I'm clever, but because I understand the flow of human emotion. The biggest mistake people make is thinking charisma is about being loud. It's not about volume, it's about resonance. It's about striking a note so true that it vibrates inside the listener long after you've moved on. Some of the most powerful moments on stage happen in the quietest tones, in the pauses where no one dares to breathe because they are with you completely. Charisma also lives in contrast. If every sentence is delivered the same way, you become predictable. And predictable is forgettable. I vary my pace, my pitch, my intensity. I can be fire in one moment and water the next, because contrast keeps the mind alert. It keeps the audience wondering what's coming next, and when they're wondering, they're present. But none of this works without authenticity. You can't fake emotion and expect people not to notice. They may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. And once they sense you're performing instead of connecting, you've lost them. So when I speak, I'm not putting on a mask. I'm revealing more of myself. I'm letting the audience in, not to see the polished version, but the real one. The one with scars and flaws and lessons learned the hard way. The charge, the electricity, comes from that realness colliding with intensity. I'm willing to raise my voice when the point demands it, not for theatrics, but because the truth sometimes deserves to be shouted. I'm willing to slow to a whisper when I want you to lean in, to remind you that power isn't always in the push, it's in the pull. Eye contact is a weapon. I use it to lock someone into the moment, to let them know I'm talking to them, not the crowd, not the camera, them. That personal connection multiplied across the room makes the audience feel like they're part of something, not just watching it, and the energy you bring is contagious. If you want your audience to feel something, you have to feel it first, fully, unapologetically. You can't inspire enthusiasm from a place of indifference. You can't ignite urgency if you're relaxed about the message. Every emotion you want them to experience, you have to embody. This is why I prepare for a talk like it's a performance and a conversation at the same time. The performance gives it structure. The conversation gives it soul. I know exactly when I'll hit the peaks, but I also leave room for instinct, for those moments when I feel the room shift, and I know I need to follow that current. Charismatic delivery is not about showing off, it's about making your message unforgettable. Emotional charge is not about manipulation. It's about truth delivered with such force that it breaks through the noise in someone's life. Together, they create an experience people don't just hear. They feel, they carry, they remember. Because here's the reality. Long after they've forgotten your slides, long after they've forgotten your exact words, they will remember how you made them feel. And if you can make them feel deeply enough, you will have moved them, not just for the length of your talk, but in a way that ripples into the decisions they make tomorrow, next week, next year. That's the point. That's the work, not to leave them impressed, but to leave them changed. And when you master the art of presence, when you marry authenticity with energy, when you deliver with precision and heart, you don't just speak to the room, you own it. Here's what I want you to do. Stop posting, start performing. Stop hoping, start provoking. Stop whispering, start roaring. Because if 100 million views per video sounds absurd, maybe it's because your ambition isn't big enough yet.